What a wonderful day!
What a wonderful day. What a wonderful day. If you can't tell, I really like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Wow, that's a pretty mouthful to say. I do have a lot to say about this movie, mostly because I'm a pretty big fan of like post-apocalyptic, apocalyptic type of scenarios. And Planet of the Apes to me is like the penultimate like definition of apocalyptic. I know other people always talk about zombie apocalypse, robot apocalypse, or alien, but to me, ape apocalypse has always been one of the more fascinating ones. Essentially, where a different species takes over the human race, where we become the lesser species, where one becomes the dominant over the other. And Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, to me, feels like something that's fresh, but at the same time, it's not. It's something we're familiar with, which honestly has me pretty excited. And the fact that this movie was probably one of the, I think it was one of the longer Planet of the Apes films ever. I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, this movie was like about 2.5 hours long. It didn't even really feel like it was 2.5 hours long, if I'm gonna be honest. So before I begin the video, I think it's essential that you actually watch like the prequels, essentially the Matt Reeves trilogy, quote unquote, because the first one wasn't actually made by Matt Reeves. It's the last two, but I honestly would recommend watch the previous three entries, because without that, it won't really make a lot of sense. And I'm only mentioning this because I took my friend to the movie and he was absolutely lost. He did not know who Caesar was. He did not know what a Nova was. He was really confused. Then again, he's never seen a single Planet of the Apes films ever, which is kind of crazy. How have you never watched a Planet of the Apes movies without at least having some knowledge of the other ones? No, he was genuinely confused. Like, hey, who's Caesar? Why is there a funny orangutan? Ooh, that one can talk. Like, what? Come on, you should at least watch one of the films, at least the trilogy in the early 2010s, because it's one of the best underrated trilogies in like the last 20 years, I'm gonna be honest. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is a pretty good start to what I would say is a promising new trilogy. I'll get to the end in a bit because there's a lot to explain. But yeah, I really like the new dynamic of the characters, how this essentially takes place about 3 centuries into our own future, because the previous film, War of the Planet of the Apes, I believe took place around the 2030s, 2040s, years, decades after the fall of humanity. And with the remnants of humanity now gone, we move on centuries, hundreds of years into the future, with the city, I believe, is San Francisco, at least in this future timeline. I'm not too certain what city this took place in, the remnants that you see, but we get to meet our new cast, and specifically our main ape, chimpanzee, led by Noah. He's this promising ape from this tribe, the Eagle Clan. Now, the Eagle Clan essentially raises and takes care of these eagles using songs to call to them, which to me I found pretty fascinating, how apes are divided by sex, how each ape tribe is divided by, they control a part of their territory, and then you have other territories. Then you have like Proxima Caesar, who controls the coastline, which I'll get into that in just a second. Alright, so I really like how this film shows us how there are certain sects of apes, like different clans. So you have the Eagle Clan, you have Proximus Clan, the one who controls the east, the coastline of the ape civilization, and then you have the Orangutan Clan. That's mainly the 3 clans were introduced throughout the film. Raka is the only survivor left of his clan, of the Orangutan Clan, the true followers of Caesar, the ones who spread his knowledge, the ones that spread his compassion about Caesar's true origins, about how humans and apes should live together, how they should coexist, how they should be peaceful, how apes shall not kill ape. And then you have the Eagle Clan, who's essentially apes who raise eagles. They're in harmony with nature. They do what they want. They just relax. They live peacefully with Earth, essentially. Then you have Proximus Clan, which is more warlike, and they're essentially more human, as they're on the warpath. They want to eradicate all of humanity, at least the remnants of it, because they know if there's one smart human, there has to be more smart humans out there, which is pretty true. I gotta give it credit. Humanity no matter how hard you like try to get rid of us, we're always gonna find a way. That is the human spirit. We are bound to survive. We're kind of like cockroaches in that sense, that no matter how hard you try to get rid of us, we're gonna exist. We're gonna try to live and survive in this hellish world, which is honestly true. Now, the problem of this film, the conflict mainly that's centered around this story, is the fact that Proximus wants access to this vault, this government vault. Now, think of this vault like Fallout. You know how Fallout, the government goes and hides in this Fallout shelter where they keep all their technology, all their knowledge, all their stuff? Yeah, that's what's hidden in this vault. And Proximus wants that knowledge. Whatever's inside this vault could jumpstart the evolution, the technological supremacy of the apes by hundreds, if not thousands of years. Essentially, it's like giving a baby an atomic bomb, or it's essentially like giving a toddler a gun. You do not know what's gonna happen. It's a terrible, terrible idea. Now, Proximus, he has help from this human, this traitorous human, who's pretty comfortable with the life he has. Now, I mentioned earlier the word intelligent humans. Now, Moa, she can actually speak. Shocker, not really a shocker. But the fact that there's another human, a human who's actually helping Proximus and who's giving him technology, such as these electro staves the apes, the gorillas are wielding, to me was one of the more fascinating things of the film. I like how throughout the film, it's hinted at that the apes do have some knowledge. They can still talk, but at the same time, they're still using sign language, as they're not all there mentally. They can speak, but at the same time, they still retain some of their more primitive aspects. While they may not use technology, they do have far superior strength and speed compared to us humans, because you gotta think about, we humans can't do anything. We can't jump trees, we can't run really fast. What we do have is our minds. We have knowledge, and this plays a crucial part in the film when Moa is trying to escape the captors of Proximus and save, quote unquote, save Noah's Eagle Clan, which in reality she doesn't, because at the end of the day, humans, they only care about themselves, and even then, they don't even care about themselves. As in the film, she essentially murders the other human who was helping Proximus, who was giving him technology, saying you're a traitor to your own race. It doesn't matter how comfortably you want to live among these humans, you're gonna be a traitor. You're going to be the doom of us all. Okay, so my mic died. It's gonna sound a little weird, but where was I? Yeah, entire climax of the film, the third act, is Moa and Noah going into this vault, breaking in, where Moa gains access to the book, which she claims can bring humanity its ability to talk, which we'll come back in a bit. But Noah goes, finds this booklet, and it shows the history of apes, how apes were essentially slaves that were put in cages. This ultimately shocks him, and then there's this big battle between Proximus, between the gorilla. It's a pretty cool scene. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but just know at the end of the film, Proximus goes out. It's never really shown outright if he died, but the way that he was going out was a pretty brutal death. Not to mention the way Rocket died in the second half of the film really shocked me, because I really wanted him to live. I really wanted him. But if there's not a body, he is not dead. Now, the end of the film essentially comes around with Noah taking care of the Eagle Clan, taking the Eagle Clan back to the original village and starting to rebuild. It's ultimately when Noah and Moa confront one another, and he straight up tells her, Proximus was right. You humans cannot be trusted. I trusted you to live. I trusted you to help me save my village, not for you to get what you wanted. Yeah, the vault may be destroyed, but Proximus is right. I'm going to take some of his advice. Us apes are going to come back much stronger. We're going to advance. We're going to be a species. But before Moa ends up trying to kill him, because it's revealed that she had a gun behind her and she was gonna kill him, Noah gives her the necklace of Caesar, the one which Rocket gave to him earlier in the film, saying Caesar would have wanted this. Caesar would have wanted apes and man to live together. Could man and ape live together? If not, then would it be war? And that's essentially where that story ends off. Now, the end of the film ends off with Moa going back going back to her human settlement with this device. This device is supposedly able to cure humanity's ability to talk. In a certain way, it does, but from a certain point of view. Mostly because this device is just a key that relates satellite communication to other remnants, other scattered remnants of human civilization. These satellite dishes, they talk to other outposts that say, oh hey, we're still alive. Humanity is still up and kicking. We still have technology. We still have firepower. These scattered remnants of humanity who survived this cataclysm, who survived the simian flu, are back. We are coming back to retake the planet. And it essentially ends off in a big cliffhanger where it's going to lead into another confrontation between the apes and the scattered remnants of humanity. Who will survive this? We don't know, but we do know because in the original films, apes have taken over. New York is essentially nuked. And I'm really excited for the sequel of this film because it's ultimately going to lead us to the original films where humanity has nuked itself to the Stone Age. Or I could be wrong. I don't know when nukes are going to come into play, but it would be cool if they're somehow implemented into the sequel film or the final film of this new trilogy. Overall, this was a pretty solid film. I really like the themes and elements of it, how it states, yeah, humanity is dangerous and we can never be trusted, but at the same time, apes, they're just as bad as us. If one ape is willing to go to the lengths of the other to kill apes, to disregard the law, ape shall not kill ape, then why should they have this technology? Why should they have the ability to be better than us? Honestly, this film was really, really solid. It was an 8 out of 10 for me. While there was not too much action, it was more heavily plot induced. It was more dialogue induced, which I really, really liked. I really liked the world building that this story was setting up with some of the apes, some of the scattered apes. It was pretty cool how there was different sects of ape tribes, how we follow Noah, and Noah is essentially our main character in this new trilogy, in this new story where he's a young ape. He's learning to discover the world. He's learning about the forbidden zone, the forbidden area. I really do like the callbacks to the original film, some of the nods to the previous films from the prequel trilogy all the way up to the original, such as the doll Easter egg. That was pretty cool, and I really do like how Nova's, or how the human was referred to as Nova from the prequel and from the original trilogy. Why Raka calls him Nova, he doesn't know, but I do like how the Eagle Clan calls the humans echoes because they're kind of like echoes from the past. Overall, this film was pretty good. I didn't really talk too much about the story. I did talk about certain elements of it just because I don't want to ruin the experience for you guys watching it, but it was honestly a pretty solid film. Now, I have seen some people criticize this film saying it's too similar to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's too similar to Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Like, they're setting up too much for a war. Like, how it focused too much on the human element. But I would have to disregard that because it didn't really focus too much on the human element all the way up until the third act. There was so many surprises and reveals that honestly took me aback. Like, the trailer was a huge misstep. Like, it led us in the wrong misdirection. It was a good misdirection, which I genuinely liked. And it's kind of hard to find films like that which kind of mislead you from the original plot, because my original theory was that there was going to be some super secret city of humans that they were gonna go discover. I was somewhat right, somewhat wrong, or how Mo was gonna be this astronaut from the past coming into the future. I was right, but at the same time I was kind of wrong. There was a lot of misdirection that the trailer gave us, which I really like. I really like films when they surprise us, when they give us like big reveals. Now this film was such a big reveal, and overall it's a solid 8 out of 10. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Is it as good as Dawn or Rise? Not necessarily. I would say this is much better than Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Slightly better than War, but I would say this is above Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Not as good as Dawn, not as good as War, but honestly up there. With that being said, that's my long review of Planet of the Apes. Did you guys like this film? Are you gonna watch it? Are you hyped for it? Let me know what you think, and yeah, I'll catch you in my next one. So, peace.